San Francisco 49ers fans, how we feeling? Those faithful to the Bay, how we doing? My name's C-Train. Welcome to C-Train Station. Welcome back to those subscribers. Thank you to those who subscribe, who comment, who like. I love chatting with you in the comments. It's always fun, always some great interactions. Hey, but let's get to it, right? With some fairly big news. Yes, the trifecta is complete, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the San Francisco 49ers have signed Fred Warner to a 3-year, $63 million extension, and I am all here for it. Did I say something earlier about trifecta? Yes. I believe that the offseason trifecta of re-signing core players is now complete. And the Niners front office and players, the whole organization should applaud themselves for getting business done. TCB, taking care of business. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and now Fred Warner are all entering in or at the end of the prime of their careers. Adding, of course, Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk comes back. We'll see. Nick Bosa, Trent Williams. You have generational players still at very, very key positions. And they're all locked in relatively long-term, or at least through the rest of their primes. The Niners, in my opinion, so now this sets a new Brock Purdy window with Brock Purdy's contract extension, but we'll talk about that. I think I did talk about that last video, honestly. I love this for the Niners. I think that these signings now, with Warner being the third of the three to re-sign or sign extensions, what I really think, I think this sort of shows like a change in method with how the Niners are going about business, and I love it. Perennially, Niners core players who were like the best, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, not Christian McCaffrey, but George Kittle once, I think, right? They negotiated really late. They held out of training camp. They negotiated sort of late into the offseason. And almost all of them had down seasons the year after they signed that contract. It's so imperative in the most physical sport that you have all of the training days that you gotta be there. And now all the Niners are going to be there. And I love that the Niners now have paid their core players, their sort of cornerstone players, and are looking to fill out the rest of the roster with youth and hopefully talented youth. The key word is talented and the talented youth. And I think that they've done that. But we'll talk more about that actually in a few. So what's one thing that I love about Fred Warner? Fred Warner, I believe he has over 100 total tackles in every single season of his career. He is a healthy Fred, not even healthy. Fred Warner wasn't healthy for a lot of last season and still excelled. Still played at times like defensive player of the year worthy. And so for the Niners to add or to extend that player in his prime, even when he's injured, he's gonna, if he can, he'll gut it out and he'll still produce. Fred Warner is a baller and easily one of my favorite linebackers in Niners history. And that's saying so much because Patrick Willis is one of my favorite Niners in their storied history. Easily one of my favorite, and the top few. So credit to Fred. We were talking about the Niners filling the rest of their ranks with youth. And I said talented youth, hopefully. Now look, I think that the Niners, I have questions about the Niners' investment in the trenches, offensive and defensive lines. I believe that the Niners have answered more questions on the defensive side. Alfred Collins, right? Michael Williams. I think that both of those players, defensive linemen, have a chance. CJ West, right? I think that all these players have a chance to start. 3 rookies start in year 1. Maybe not all at the same time, but at some point. But I do not think that the Niners have answered the questions that I have on the offensive line. Which is just, I would love for them to trade for like a very solid plug and play swing tackle who was really worth their weight, or sign a really quality one. I really think that they're like a depth player away for sure, at the very least, honestly. I think that they're still a starter short, maybe at the center and guard position, the Niners are. But we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. But honestly, we got to sort of bookmark this. That is the question that I have, is on the Niners offensive line. And of course, I've gone from the Warner to extension to just some Niners news and notes, right? But I thought that this was interesting. Brock Purdy is the second lowest in the NFL in terms of checkdowns. So he checks down the second least, second to only Caleb Williams. I do not like this. I was actually amazed that Kyle Shanahan has so much faith in Brock Purdy, which shows how talented Brock Purdy is, honestly, because to me, the coach does not want a player to try to extend the play for a big play. The check down is the play to make. If the play isn't there, you check down, you live to fight another day, right? You get a few yards. Also, like, the Niners checking down isn't like other teams checking down. Checking down to Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle is a legitimate, threatening option that I think that Brock Purdy really needs to take more often. So I thought that was really interesting, though. Brock Purdy rarely checks down, and it just harkens back to when Tom Brady was announcing the Niners last season or the season before. He said something about Brock Purdy that I thought was so interesting. He says that, yeah, Brock Purdy likes to extend. I even just tried to do the Tom Brady accent. But anyways, he's like, Brock Purdy tries to extend the play, and I'm not really about that. When I was playing, I would just take the check down and see. And then after he said that, one of the outlets, I don't know if it was NBC Bay Area, one of the outlets did a statistical analysis. And this is important, San Francisco 49ers fans. Statistically, the Niners benefit and get more yards when Brock Purdy checks down than as opposed to when he extends the play, runs all around, and tries for a bigger chunk downfield. The more efficient, the technically better play is to check down, especially given the targets that he has. So I'd like to see a lot more. I mean, you're going to see the offense run a lot more smoothly if Purdy's able to do that. And it's just like, it's literally the more effective thing. I don't know what else to say. At some point, if it really gets into it, if this becomes a problem, I'll come back to this and I'll actually provide that information in a future video. If that becomes a problem, like Brock Purdy extending the play, and not having success extending the play and throwing interceptions through bad throws. We'll see what happens. But yeah, in my opinion, scramble a few and get down, though. Okay, we're done with that. I love the Niners offseason so far. I can't wait to see and hear from these guys in training camp, in OTAs or whatever, minicamp. All the good stuff is coming up in the next upcoming months. And then we start, right? Is it late July, early August that we have preseason? Y'all, we are a few months away from football. And Niners fans, we can be excited. The Niners do have an easier schedule. And knock on wood, right? We never know what the teams have to offer, what new wrinkles every team's going to have, new additions and whatnot as well. But the schedule does look favorable. And the Niners have all their core players. And other than Malik Mustafa and Brandon Ayuk, they are trending to be healthy, knock on wood. So I'm digging what the Niners are having to offer. just like how Fred Warner was digging that contract, right? No, but of course, but thank you so much. Hey, comment below in the mini camps, in the training camps. I want to hear a prediction from you Niners fans. Who is one player who you think, or you're going to hear, is going to stand out in the upcoming camps, training camp, mini camp, and one? And I'm going to give my prediction right now. This is unscripted and stuff like that. Upton Stout, cornerback, defensive back. Upton Stout, I believe, will really turn some heads come mini camp and training camp. And which is interesting because the Niners drafted him higher and he was projected to be lower than the Niners drafted him. I think they're on to something though. I love those feistier nickel backs that can really get after it. And Upton Stout can get after it. I love his aggressiveness. Who's one player who you're looking forward to? Of course, for your Niners content, like, subscribe, follow. I'll see you next time at C-Train Station, and thanks again for watching. Take care. Have a good one.